What's up, everybody? Joe White here, rolling through North Carolina today. Got a few minutes here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about, a couple things. One is the WBD Netflix deal. Places like Nerdrotic and everybody else are like, "Oh God, this is the end of DC Studios. This is the end of DC Comics. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?" They've agreed to keep everything as is. For now. um, I don't think, I think they'll still be in the comic book business. I think they'll leave that there. As far as the movies go, yes, your movies are going to go to Netflix style DC movies. And guess what? After the couple of years that we've had with DC Studios, with the whole Snyderverse fiasco and Batman v Superman and the Justice League and now release the Snyder Cut and all this mess, maybe it's time for new ownership. We can't really, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions because look at what Netflix does with movies. They have had hit movies and hit television shows. Stranger Things, over Thanksgiving, I think it was 35 million people per episode. So, granted, it's the same 35 million people they're watching every single episode. But still, 35 million people? Come on. And who knows? Maybe this is Netflix's way to get into movie theaters. Hollywood, has rejected, for some reason, the Academy always rejects Netflix when it comes to, they're just streaming. They only put the movies in the theaters so that they can get our attention and per our bylaws, be in contention for an award. But, they've done good on the Emmys front, but not quite the Oscars front. Maybe they'll do like a Disney did and keep the Fox banner. Keep that, Deadpool was released under the 20th Century Fox banner. I'm not jumping to any conclusions, but you got people out there like a Nerdrotic and everybody else in that sphere that, oh my God, the sky is falling. Well, guess what? It can't get much lower than it already has, guys. You've been bitching for years about the state of DC. And I'm sorry, the newest Superman movie really didn't ruffle my feathers any either. I was indifferent about it. I'm like, meh. The guy playing Superman was good, but the story was just all over the place, man. Maybe they will get rid of James Gunn. Maybe they won't. Who knows? Maybe a lot of people are saying maybe they'll bring back Zack Snyder. I don't think so. Now we got to talk about Uncle Dave, because Uncle Dave Meltzer, is wigging out over this AEW stuff, guys. He seems to think that, they're going to ESPN, or that TKO will allow competition to air on one of the stations that they air on, because UFC was on ESPN and they had the PFL. Well, UFC then bought the PFL, and also the ESPN deal was well in place before the TKO banner hit, before they bought WWE. You got to think that they've maybe adopted some of the WWE business practices. WWE has never, ever, ever let their competition, dwell on the same group of networks as them. Never. And, listen to what somebody asked Dave. Where do you think they will go if WBD, if TNT does dump them, if they do have to leave the TNT networks, the Turner networks? Listen to what he has to say about where he thinks they'll go next. His front runner is Paramount. Listen to this.
When it comes to when we get to 2027, 2028, I mean, AEW is no longer a startup there. I mean, they'll be something when this deal is up. There's something that has been on television now on those stations for 8 years It's part of at that point, it's part of the fabric of the station. If it's still popular. Now, if it's something that's nosediving, they may go, hey, we had it for the good years and now it's over. But if you look at it as like, hey, we've had it for 8 years and it's still popular, it's probably going to be popular forever. If that's the mentality of how you're looking at it, then they're going to be fine as long as the stations are fine. If the stations aren't fine, yeah. But a product like that, if it's still popular, there'll be plenty of streaming services that will want it. So it's like everything's uncertain, but the only I could see, like I said, like I don't see anything that would keep Paramount from taking them.
The problem with that, Dave, is very simple. All they got to do is look at the year over year. Your first 2-3 years during the pandemic, good. Because nobody had any, choice but to stay inside and watch TV. Netflix took a big jump during the pandemic. Everybody that was in the TV and streaming game took a big jump during the pandemic. Now that, the last 3 years, they have not hit 1 million viewers since I want to say it was February of 2023. It was the Jon Moxley versus Evil Uno episode of Dynamite. You have to go all the way back then. It's been over 2 years. So your wrestling is not healthy. And brand loyalty means nothing. Because look how hot WCW was. WCW was still pulling in 2 million viewers a week, which they would kill for those numbers right now. And Jamie Kellner came in and in one fell swoop said, nope, we're not doing this no more. Now, granted, they owned the product. They owned WCW, so they could say that. The AEW, for all, for what everybody's saying, AEW is fine until the end of 2027. And then they're going to be shitting themselves. Because I don't think Paramount's going to take them. I don't think Paramount is going to take them. Because TKO is going to be like, hey, you bet your butt that TKO has made them sign exclusivity deals. They don't want another PFL or anything else. And Dana White can't stand pro wrestling. He puts on a happy face for TKO and everything for WWE. He puts on a happy face and allows his fighters to sit in the front row of WWE shows and all this mess. But deep down, Dana White has always hated professional wrestling, even though he's stolen some of the pro wrestling business tactics back in the day. So if you think they're going to let AEW come on to Paramount, no. It's not going to happen, Dave. I don't care about PFL and UFC and all this, and I don't care, one's pro wrestling, one's MMA. They're not going to want the competition because it is competition. It's still a ring sport. The only thing that they may allow on there is the boxing when the Zuffa boxing starts up. That's it. Because it's all under there, which pocket are you going to dive into? So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I just don't think they're going to go to... I don't think they're going to go there. It's not going to happen. I mean, the only other place they could wind up... they're not going to wind up at Disney because of the ESPN and WWE. They can't go to Netflix because Netflix is Raw. They can't go to the USA networks because of SmackDown. Where else can they go? You're not going to go to FX. FX is owned by Fox. Fox is Disney, Well, FX isn't owned by Fox. They're owned by Disney. But still. Where else can you go? WGN? Maybe you make a deal with Amazon Prime? Since you're already there, Amazon, they're going to be streaming only. It's going to kill their business. It's going to kill them. This is it, dude. They're getting locked out. His worst fear, Tony Khan's worst fear, has come true. He's got 2 years to scramble around and figure out what the hell to do. So That's that's just the reality of it. You can't sit there and tell me that they're going to allow AEW on any of these other places. The only other thing I could think of is when they spin these networks off. Whatever company buys these networks goes, yeah, you could stay on there, but that's it. You're exclusively on TNT. We're not going to put your pay-per-views on HBO Max because HBO Max I don't think will exist much longer. They say it will, but I don't think it will because they're going to fold everything into Netflix. Why would you want to keep it for that two separate ones? Why would you want the headache of that? I wouldn't. Once the ink is dried, you can do whatever the hell you want, guys. That's just the reality of it. There may be a clause in the contract that says, "Oh yeah, you got to keep it the way it is for maybe a year," but I don't, I don't see them keeping HBO Max around too much longer after this deal is dried. If the ink is dry on the deal, if it even gets there, because you got talk of Trump may come in and stop it. The Ellisons may come in with Paramount because they were the front runners. I mean, who knows? Shit. I gotta get back over. Oh man. Guys, let us over if we need to get over out there. If you see a big rig out here and we need to get over, let us over. Bottom line. This is our office out here. You don't live out here. We do. But anyway. NXT did Deadline last night. I thought it was a pretty good show. Obafemi versus Ricky Saints. Quite good. I did not expect Obafemi to get the title. But then again, he's I can tell you why Obafemi won the title back last night. Because Obafemi can afford to lose to John Cena or to Cody Rhodes rather at this Saturday night's main event, and Ricky Saints can't. Even though it is a dream match and there's history there with Ricky Saints and Cody Rhodes, friendship wise, we're not ready for that yet. So Cody's going to go beat Obafemi, who's your champion, which is crazy. But okay, what does that say about the NXT title? But whatever. Um, and then it looks like it's going to be Javon Evans because Javon Evans won the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge, which was a hell of a match. And they're going to go face each other in New Year's Evil. And once again, they're not going to let Javon Evans go anywhere near this title. As much as I like Javon Evans, Greensboro, North Carolina, trained by LeBron Cozone out of Firestar Pro Wrestling there in Greensboro, as much as I, would like to see that, because Javon Evans is a hell of a talent, I don't think they see him as anything more than a skinny guy who just flops around, can flippity floppity floppity flu. It's just WWE's mentality, guys. It's just the way they think. You're never going to see a skinny little kid like that win a world title. Rey Mysterio is the only exception, and that's all it ever will be. And we all know why Rey Mysterio was allowed to be the exception. The women's Iron Survivor match really impressed me. Kendall Gray, the Evolve champion, getting a shot at the women's world title at New Year's Evil. She's going to go on to fight JC Jane. And quite frankly, I hope Kendall Gray gets it because Kendall Gray's a better wrestler than JC Jane, ever will be. She's, in my opinion, better looking. She performs better. She has better charisma. Who knows? Maybe they'll give it to her. Then she'll have to lose the Evolve. I think if she loses the Evolve title before then, I don't know what Evolve's taping schedule is, but if she loses that Evolve title before New Year's Evil, there you go. That's a good sign right there. Maybe she's getting it. Or she could hold two belts for a while. Who knows? But I will say this. To have your Evolve champion, which is like the developmental of your developmental, to have your Evolve champion go in there and yes, I know the type of match that it is. As I take a drink here, sorry. To have your Evolve champion come in and beat 4 of your other big name talent like your Jordan Grace, your Lola Vice, your Sol Ruka. I hate that name, Sol Ruka. She's supposed to have a white surfer gimmick, and it's Ruka. I mean, come on. Come on. Anyway, Kalani Jordan, Jordan Grace especially. Jordan Grace should have had that title by now, but I guess they don't want that kind of representation, if you know what I mean. They just don't. But anyway, I'm really surprised that they went that route and had the Evolve champion beat 4 of the top women in NXT. She's a contender now. She was made. There's no going back. So if there is, I mean, if she just loses, if Kendall Gray just loses, goes back to Evolve, and we never see her on NXT for about a year, that makes that whole Iron Survivor match just look stupid. It's the same thing whenever they have the Royal Rumble winner, and it's a new guy coming up. Whenever they have that Royal Rumble winner, and they actually use the Royal Rumble winner for what it's supposed to be used for, which is making new talent, and then they go into WrestleMania and lose, it just makes the Rumble seem less than. Same thing with King of the Ring. You have this tournament. What's the point of the tournament if the winner's going to lose? It's the same thing with the John Cena tournament that's going on. If Gunther's not going to beat Cena, what the hell's the point? I think Cena's going to go out on his back anyway, guys. I hope so. He should do the honors on the way out, in my opinion. Anyway, folks, that's it for me today. I might be back later on. Who knows? We'll see you down the road.
Is that the American dream?
That's the American dream.
What?
An ass like you.